Hi everybody and welcome back to my modeling channel. So today we're gonna start building a Revell Embraer 190 on the scale 144. So let's open the box, do the kit review initially. So the box is composed with a beautiful A4 format instruction sheet, lots of colors, and very easy to handle. It's about 4 or 5 pages. It's almost like a little booklet. You have all the details of the aircraft. You can even do the cockpit on that kit. And of course, you have all the details. Then we go to the ends, and you have the instruction sheet for the decals, and of course this is also in color. So you have only one decal option, that's for the Lufthansa regional livery. We're gonna now review the decal sheet, and I have to say that those Revell decals are normally very nice to work with. So it's gonna be an easy fit this time. So you have of course all the details as well, with some panels on the aircraft, and of course the company logo. Now we're gonna move to the kit itself. It's in a clear plastic bag, and we have a couple of screws. We have one screw with the clear part, and that will be the cockpit window. Further up, the first screw has half of the fuselage, one wing, the underbelly, one engine, and a part of the landing gear. And the other screw has the other side of the fuselage, the other wings, the cockpit details, and also some more details on those engines. And that's about it for the kit. It's quite basic, but I'm sure with a little bit of work we can get a beautiful result on that Embraer 190. So enough of talking, and let's start building.
We're gonna start our project by preparing our parts. So initially, of course, we're gonna prepare the cockpit, and we will start basically putting the cockpit inside and the wheel well, and then of course I will add some weight. As you can see, I normally use some Play-Doh or modeling paste that I put up front of the fuselage. This allows me to avoid having the model sitting on its tail. So of course, once we glue the parts, then we're gonna start assemble the underbelly or the main landing gear wheel well, and also we will add the cockpit windows. For this, it's not gonna be a big work, because as I'm gonna do like I normally do, I will fill up all the windows and the cockpit windows with the decals. So of course what I do is I fill up the passenger windows with glue, and when the glue dried, I cover it up with some Tamiya putty. Of course, after that, I will be filling all the gaps on the fuselage and on the cockpit windows, and I will fill them up again with some putty. Of course, after that will be the time of letting it dry, and while this will be drying, we're gonna start working on the wings. So first will be the wing assembly. For this, of course, I'll have to prepare the parts and do a little bit of grinding and sanding, and then we're gonna use the regular Revell glue. So we're now going to work on those engines, and I have to say that for such a small model, the engine were quite detailed. You have to assemble first the core of the engine and the fan disc, and then you'll have basically the casing around the engine with the engine mount, and then the cowl anti-ice or the engine lip. So for such a small engine, I think it's quite a lot of parts, and you can do as well a lot of work on that. Later on, you'll have also the exhaust and the engine turbine, which is composed also in an extra 2 parts. Of course, there will be a little bit of putting and filling up all the gaps on those parts, and then we're gonna have to work on those. And then of course the long waiting time of sanding down all the extra putty. So once we complete the sanding parts, I realized that there were still some gaps, especially on the passenger windows. So I had to do again an extra set of putty, and of course that gave me time to sand down the engine and the wings, and then of course we'll have to come back on those parts and that fuselage. So while this is still drying, I'm gonna finish the engine assembly, and of course I'll have to fill up some gaps on those engine lips. Now we are going to attach our wings on our fuselage, and I have to say that went pretty easy. The fitting is going very well. There was no issue on that, and of course after that we'll have to fill the gaps between the wings and the fuselage. It's now time to go to the paint booth. So for this I'm going to initially paint the wings, and for that I use a mix of white and light gray from Tamiya. And of course I'll have to paint basically the engine mounts, the wings and the horizontal stabilizer. So after that I'll have to add some proper mask, and I will cover basically the light gray part, so the wings, and then I will try to paint basically the anti-ice, and for this I will use later on some Tamiya metallic paint, which work actually very well. It's clear aluminium, and after that, so once we finish to put the covers, which actually is quite time consuming, I have to say that it takes quite a lot of time on that build, almost as much time I would say as trying to do all the sanding down. So those two things are the time consuming things of an airplane building. So once I finish with this metallic color that you can see, I will paint now the engine body in a royal blue color. And for most of my painting I'm using the airbrush, and I'm also using basically the acrylic paint from Tamiya. I've been working with them for years and I've been very happy about that. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna put the nose wheel door, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to add of course some putty once this was done, before adding the last layer of white paint. So once that was dried and sanded down, it was time to use a clear white color from Tamiya, and then I'll do a coat over the whole fuselage itself, and later on I'll use some red paint just for the inside part of the winglets. Now we're using another type of gray color, and that will be for the undercarriage. I'm also using some exhaust color, and for this I'm using an enamel paint from Revell, and I will work on those. Basically that's on the exhaust and the turbine. And once this is drying out, we're gonna start decaling our airplanes. So for this, I've been using a new brand called BS Decal. They're coming from Ukraine. Purchased them a little bit a couple of months before the war, and I have to say that I'm pretty happy about those decals. The quality is pretty decent. Details are quite basic, but generally for the colors I'm using, or some liveries, it's really nice, and they have some also very exotic liveries. You'll see some more on some of the later models that I'm gonna build, and I've been purchased a few of those, and I think I'm gonna be able to do a pretty decent job on that. So now we're trying to put all the decals, and then we're gonna continue working as well further up on the rest of that build. Now we are going to paint the inside part of our wheels, and for this still the same gray color, a little bit of work, but nothing major actually, and when the paint is quite thin by capillarity, you can get everything done correctly. Now we're gonna work on the exhaust core of those engines again, and for this I'm gonna use an aluminium color, and it's a pretty clear color, and then there will be some more. So I'm gonna have to work on those exhausts based on the colors I've been seeing on different various pictures. And of course we're gonna have to do so I had to rescribe basically the engine anti-ice to make sure that I would not paint over the fence or over the boundary, and then I was able to do a pretty decent job without any mask. Then I realized as well on watching all the pictures that there was this part basically on the top of the engine exhaust, and that's the dark metallic color again. Now we're going to do a quick touch up using a dry brush technique and a little bit of weathering technique basically on those undercarriage, and of course I'll use the same Tamiya wash for those for the wheels, and that's going to give us a more realistic effect and cover up as well sometimes some painting defect. So this is the perfect way to do it. After that, of course, I'll use some brush, and I will do the touch up for the tires, and for this I'm using a matte black from Tamiya. So now I'm gonna apply the factory decals from Revell for the panel and the corrugat, or the walking area on the wings. So for this it requires a little bit of fiddling, I have to say, but the result were much better, and the quality of those decals were much they were more refined than what I had with my standard BS decal. So that's a good tip to keep. I normally always keep the factory decals regardless of the livery, because you can have some nice details that you can add on your model. So now it's time to do the last assembling part of that model. So we're gonna put the undercarriage, we're gonna fix it to the aircraft, we're gonna fix the wings attach the wings to the models. Of course we're gonna have to put now the horizontal stabilizer and do the last paint touch up, especially the red on the tail. And then we're gonna add some more details like gear doors, and of course the last antennas that I will fix on the aircraft, antennas and rotating beacon. We're gonna leave the last touch up and add a little bit more reality to that model. So this is the final result of that Embraer 190 scale 144 from Revell, from Buta Airways. I hope you enjoyed that build with me. If you did so, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you soon for another video. Thank you for watching.